It will be good to have you in...
We are starting in YouTube the live transmission.
Okay. Dear colleagues from all over the world, I'm extremely happy today to host this very special webcast, having the honor to have four IFLA presidents with us. This is a very special event organized by the Committee for the Support of Libraries, CSL. CSL was founded in 2003 by representatives of international and Greek organizations to contribute to the development of libraries. Being committed to free and open exchange of information, the committee's main goal is to contribute to the modernization and development of libraries and information centers in their efforts to provide quality services to their users. CSL strongly believes that exchange of ideas and experiences, as well as cooperations, are undoubtedly the keys to effective solutions of common problems. And the pandemic, COVID-19, is a huge common problem. That's why the theme of this first in a series of two events that CSL is organizing is about innovation, tools, and services that libraries can provide in order to face effectively the challenge of COVID-19. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Tonia Arafova. I am a member of the Committee of the Support of Libraries, and I am the IFLA Treasurer. And also, I worked the last 26 years in the National Library of Greece, having served as the Joint Director General, and also I'm a special advisor to the Prime Minister in the library field. So, let's start. First of all, as I said in the beginning of my speech, it is a great honor to have together with us and with all of you, our presidents. And I will start with our current president, Christine McKenzie, who is the IFLA president from 2019 till 2021, August. Christine has a Bachelor of Arts, she's a graduated librarian, and she has served from 2003 till 2004 as president of the Australian Library and Information Association, ALIA. Christine is a leader in the library field, and her theme is Let's Work Together. And this is very adjusted to our committee, the Committee for the Support of Libraries, which is a cooperative effort, as I said, from different institutions, international institutions, and also local institutions. Christine has received her presidency from Gloria Perez Salmeron in Athens at the 85th World Library and Information Conference, and in her acceptance speech, she mentioned the access to information from indigenous language and to restructure IFLA to achieve the strategic framework. And Christine is our president. During her presidency, IFLA has been restructured. So I have the honor to present a video from Christine, since the very unsociable time to Melbourne, where she lives, didn't permit her to be live with us, but we have her video. So I share my screen and present Christine's video.
It's good to be with you. And join this online international conference, Innovation, Tools and Library Services for Libraries, the COVID-19 challenge. It's a great honour to be sharing this platform with four other presidents. And I'm delighted to acknowledge the presidents, Gloria Perez Salmeron, and incoming President Barbara Mitchell, and also Antti Katsiriku, President of Association of Greek Librarians and Information. And thanks to the committee for the support of library for hosting this conference. Free to acknowledge the land where we met, now, which is the traditional land of the Wiradjuri people, present, and also Indigenous colleagues who have joined us today. To Athens, and especially of our last IFLA Congress. Little did we know that our today I want to tell you a bit about IFLA and also opportunities IFLA is offering the global library during the pandemic. And also that makes it resilient and adaptable to the challenges we are facing. IFLA is the global voice of libraries and was founded in 1927. It is based in The Hague, the Netherlands. We have 1,500 members from 150 countries, and institutions, but also the library are the 60 professional units with 1,200 volunteers. We share ideas, experiences and good practices globally and services, collections and professional issues. IFLA has
I'm sorry, but there is a problem with the sound of Christine. In her video, it was working, but I don't know what is happening. You know that the demon of technology hits out of the blue, so you never know. I would like to reassure all of you that we are going to upload her video in our Facebook account and also to our page, and we will try also to insert Christine's video in the whole presentation video that we are going to have available in a few days in YouTube. So, but I have listened to Christine's video, and I would like just to say the three main topics that Christine was referred to her video. First one, it was the initiatives of IFLA. The second one was what the pandemic caused to the library field in order to restructure the way that libraries all around the world are facing this kind of unexpected problems like the pandemic. And the third is Christine was referred to the new IFLA after the new structure, and how this new IFLA structure can provide more opportunities for inclusion to IFLA, and also for a more dynamic dealing with problems that libraries have to face in their everyday life, and also in unexpected situations like the risk management. So we're sorry about this technology problem, but things like that I think happen, and we are all very used to the virtual environment. So I'm going on with our second speaker, and our second speaker is with us. She hasn't got a video, so I hope that the probabilities of having any problem, I think they are now to zero. I want to believe it. So our next speaker is our incoming president, who is taking charge of the IFLA in August 2021, and this is Barbara Leeson. Barbara is the director of the Public Library System of Bremen. Barbara is a well-known pioneer in library field. She has many special interests focused in networking, lobbying for libraries on an international level, having been a member of the Bertelsmann Foundation International Work of Public Libraries, a founding member of PLIN, the International Network of Public Libraries. She was also a member of the executive board of EBLIDA and, of course, vice president of EBLIDA. Barbara has also served as the president of the National German Umbrella Organization of the German Library and International Associations, and currently she is a member of the OCLC Board of Trustees, and she is a person well known for her dynamic support of libraries, not only in Europe, but also worldwide. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tonya, for this introduction. It's always interesting to listen to what things which are happening or have happened with me. Thank you very much. So, well, I want to show to our audience a example from Germany. If you see it now, I would like to say something like that libraries in the pandemic have given the image that they are resilient and persevering. So first of all, I think it's important for our audience, because I think there is not many German people listening, that you get some facts and figures about German libraries at all. So we have about 82 million inhabitants, and they are served by about 10,000 library locations. You can see that we have quite a lot of media in stock, and the loans are almost 500 million. And you can see that public libraries have a lot of visits, 27 million visits per year. And I always am proud to say that this is much more than the German Premier Football League has. So libraries are really heavily used in Germany, and in many municipalities, the libraries are the spot for culture, so the most frequented cultural institution. That was in Germany until mid-March. Mid-March, everything was closed down because of the spreading of the coronavirus. And so many libraries just closed on Monday, 16th of March, and everything was gone. Everything was gone. No library services, of course, the digital service. So the shutdown, which we had in Bremen, in my public library, was from 16th of March to the 3rd of May. And of course, we introduced the library much more online than we did before. We had online services, we had ebooks, of course, we had YouTube channels, everything, but of course not enough, and still the physical media was the main media in usage of our patrons. But you see, stay home in that time, just a year ago, was the same today. It's more or less stay home again. Sorry. So, what did we take, which measures did we take to make our patrons happy and not to get too much anger with them? So first of all, of course, we only jumped to the online conversation, to the online dialogue, and we opened up a digital library card for free. Most libraries in Germany, they get money from their patrons for the library cards normally, but at that moment we thought it might be better that the online library card, just to use our ebooks, to use our e-services, should be a free offer. And we had several thousand people who signed in for the free library card for 2 months until May. So that was okay. We liked that very much. And those people who had material at home should not pay overdue fees when the library is closed. So we said that for a certain amount of time, the overdue fees were canceled for the population. And of course, this made our patrons happy as well. But all of a sudden, we thought, well, perhaps they want physical media. And of course they wanted. There was a lot of messages coming from our patrons. How can we get physical media? And perhaps in all the countries who are now listening, you know that it was forbidden to visit shops. It was forbidden to visit any institutions, just get in. So what we decided was to have a special offer called Stabi to go, Public Library to go. And we asked our patrons to send us their wishes, their demands for physical media. And actually, there came in a lot of demands, and our staff had to pack a lot of things. Really, that was a big deal to do, a lot of things. And you see, we have these nice bags. And for everyone who wanted a physical media, they got a special time slot of 15 minutes to collect this from the library. And you see, we made people happy. Ian Watson is an Englishman living in, or an Irishman, sorry, living in Bremen, and you can see what he says. Many, many thanks to our local library, which now has a book takeaway service. You simply email and so on. And so he was very happy, like all other people. Then, of course, the children book cinema became online. So we showed picture books for children and told stories for children online. That meant that we had to negotiate with the publishers, because this is a special way of showing their material, and copyright is the issue. So we had to negotiate with each publisher to be able to show their books and also read the text online. Something else. We had a lot of people in the staff who said, we want to do something. We really want to do something. And so you can see, I hope you can see it, what our staff decided. They made a book workout for all the people who maybe have eaten too much during the pandemic and during the quarantine. And so you can see what can be done with books, especially not only reading, but also using books for, fun. And of course, first aid for children and for pupils, because they could not come to us. They got a special phone number to call and to have support and information for their studies, for their homework and home office studies. So normally this is this, but we had to cancel that. But on 4th of May, we opened again. You can see in all these pictures how this opening looked like. It was not the library we were used to work in, and it was not the library the audience was used to sit and enjoy themselves. So everything was barred, everything where people could sit was taken away. And of course, there was no Wi-Fi, so we tried to avoid people stay in the library. And you can also see we have a line now in front of the library, mostly keeping the distance of 1.50 meters, but people have to wait until they can get into the library. We only let 100 people in right now. When we started, we let in only 80. And you can see this is also in front of the library. People are waiting to get in.
Barbara, sorry to interrupt. I think that you have a PowerPoint. You haven't shared the screen. If you have a PowerPoint.
Yes, of course I have.
Yeah. You haven't shared the screen. So
oh, I thought I did. Woo!
Because you are so narrative and
well, that's funny.
It was like that we have it in front of us, but I think it's so good for our participants to.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, to see
well, that's strange because I shared it, but it doesn't work really very well. I try to do it again, okay?
Yeah, well, I think that all PCs and laptops are very tired of the so much use that we have in this kind of.
Well, I try to share. Do you see anything now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, well, I don't go back, of course, no. I won't go back, but I will continue. So open again meant that now you can see what I was describing. You can see that everything was barred, and it was not the library which we wanted to present to our customers, not the third place which we usually offer. And in front, you can see people stand in front was 1.50 meters. And also inside, you can see they are waiting to get into the library. So that was the question, where damned is our third place? It's gone, it's actually gone. And we have to admit that we stopped being a hotspot for people. We were a hotspot for people. And we stopped being that in order not to become a hotspot for the virus. We had to do this. So you can see everything there at the entrance. People had to stay and to wait until the shopping baskets. We gave shopping baskets, 100 shopping baskets to the people. And if the shopping baskets were gone, people had to wait outside. And you see all tables and chairs were taken away. This is our wonderful VR station. It had to be closed. And of course, all these bars. It's really a pity. But people in the staff were inventive still. So you have heard maybe about the new drive-in picture book cinema. So there is the drive-in movie cinema in reality. And we have for the children online, we have a drive picture book cinema, but not only online, but people could sit here in the big distance for summertime, and in early autumn, we could admit people again and children again into the library. And of course, instead of having 20 people, there were only 10 people for the drive-in picture book cinema. And the same with meetings and events. Normally in our event room, there's 180 seats, and now we have 25 options for people. Well, now at the moment, not at all, but that was before November. But people were so happy. They gave such a positive response for having the library open. So the library was the only cultural institution, and still is the only cultural institution, which is open in Bremen, not everywhere, unfortunately. But I want to also give some information about the staff position, because the staff was afraid, of course. The staff had to serve the people, and we had to save the staff, to safeguard the staff. So we tried to help with the staff with a resilience help or resilience support. And here you can see which factors everybody can use to get a support in resilience. So especially for leaders, it is important to know this and to help their staff by accepting their fear, by accepting what they want, by be oriented to solutions, be optimistic, have emotional stability, of course, and social ability, be real, of course. And the main thing is to be self-confident. That is, I think, very important. And you see, also to have a little bit of humor. You know, this is a Christmas tree made out of toilet paper, because everyone, perhaps you remember, everyone was collecting toilet paper in order to have enough. So some staff made this. This is not my library. This is the public library in Düsseldorf. Some staff made this Christmas tree out of toilet paper. So to stay optimistic and to have some humor again. So how can library managers strengthen the resilience and the perseverance of the staff? As I just said, it is important to value the emotional intelligence of the staff and to encourage them in any aspect which is possible. The most important thing is also to give room for proactive attitudes. And you remember the book challenge with the books, the book workout. That was really something like this. Things like that happened as well. And of course, voices from the staff. We asked the staff, how did you experience the pandemic? How did you feel during the pandemic? And that is just a summing up what they said, what they learned. They learned to be even more patient than they were. And of course, they valued that they were totally free to try out something new. They kind of balanced their strengths and weaknesses and could understand also maybe their own feelings, and maybe they were even more aware of the feelings of their colleagues and of the others. So the emotional importance of being a member of a team was maybe even enhanced than before. And how did the staff feel? You see, lonesome and isolated was a portion which they felt, of course, but they were also thankful to have a secure job in public service. And they got time off to care for their children who couldn't go to kindergarten or to school. So they were thankful as well. And they liked it that they felt especially appreciated by the patrons, by the managers as well. And what would the staff like to keep for the future? They think that it is important to improve, expand, and enhance our digital services. Then, of course, the third place was something which they really were looking for. So they said, let's have again, please, the third place. That is so important. We want back the third place. And we want to create an inspiring and welcoming place again. So, of course, they want to go on with complying with the Corona regulations, but they still want to serve their customers. They want to enhance cross-departmental collaboration. This is also very important. And I think I don't have the time, but we have understood that it is important not to concentrate on details too much, because the results are really incredible if you go just a bit more easygoing with the work and with the things you are doing. So we are still open, but it's the same picture today as it was in May last year, unfortunately. And you can see this is Germany. There still are states in Germany where libraries have to be closed. There is no chance that they can be open. That was the shutdown in November 2020. And in the December 2020, you can see what was closed, and only a few of the länder are open again. And with a lot of restrictions, of course, with a lot of restrictions. But we are open. Bremen is open, Hamburg is open, and Berlin is open. And my personal conclusion from all of this is, you hear a lot of, well, there was the old normal and there will be a new normal. But I think that for us in libraries, there never was an old normal, and there should not be a new normal, because we should develop and we should be agile enough to be, to stress that we are developing. And when you are developing, there is no normality. Normal is the development. And if you say the development is normal, then we can say there is a normal. But I think to say there is a new normal instead of the old normal, no, it's too static. We are dynamic and we are developing. And that is my personal conclusion, that we have been growing and thriving in the crisis, and we should continue with this. So let's be agile and never give up creating our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Barbara. So normal is developing, and actually we are doing the normality now for really describing how the development is going to happen. And really it was very inspiring, your speech, because it covered also the practical aspect of what you did in your libraries, the Germans have done in their libraries in order to face the COVID-19 challenge, but also you talked about the emotional dealing of the situation, both from the aspect of the clients, of our users, and of course from the aspect of the staff. And this is a very important criteria that we all have to have in our minds when we design the strategies in order to face and to deal with very systematic and difficult challenges like COVID-19. Barbara, I have a question for you from our dear colleague, Jane Dysart, and she asked, were publishers willing to work with libraries?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Were publishers willing to work with libraries?
Okay. Not all publishers. So we only addressed, of course, the children's book publishers, because that was for children's book only. Not all of them. And unfortunately, one of the most important and most broadly sold publisher was against it. So, and actually the smaller ones who have not that much money and who have not that big turnover, they were more interested because they understood that it is promotion for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always good to give, because then you can take back. And this, when also the publishers understand this, and also the libraries, of course, I think it's a good deal for both partners in order to serve our clients, because this is, I think, the common goal. Thank you so much, and of course we will be back to you when at the last 20 minutes, when we are going to open the discussion. And of course, in your face, I would like also to very warmly thank all the members of the CSL and the Goethe Institute's representative, Nicoletta, my colleague, who has contributed a lot in this event, designing the brochure and the video, and also all my dearest colleagues with whom I work very smoothly the last 14 years. I think the Goethe Institute, the Cervantes Institute, Gloria, and I will, in a minute, I will give the floor to you, to the IRC of the American Embassy in Athens, to the Nordic Library in Athens, to the British School Library, to the National Library of Greece, my second home for 26 years, the National Documentation Center, the organization about the child who is growing up while reading, the Public Library of New Philadelphia. Donna, it has nothing to do with your Philadelphia, it's our New Philadelphia. And it's an amazing public library. The Athens the music library of the Athens Concert Hall. It was our venue in our 85th WLIC Congress, the last face-to-face congress that we had in Athens. And all my really dearest colleagues. This is a collaborative effort, and I think that when people collaborate together, then we can do the normal, as Barbara said, we can develop. So now I am going now to a lady who really represents, I think, the library as a meaning and as a feeling. And this is Gloria Perez Salmeron. Sorry for my very bad Spanish, but I try, and you know that I tried the last 2 months. So Gloria is the chair of the teaching IFLA Global Libraries. And also, Gloria was our president, the president of IFLA, of International Federation of Libraries Association, just before Christine, from 2017 till 2019. Gloria is a world-famous library leader. Gloria has spent almost all her life in library field. She has served as first director of the Casa Cuberta Central Urban Library of Barcelona, coordinator of the libraries in the north of the Barcelonese municipality, and delegate of the UNESCO Model Library Network. She was elected in 2008 as president of the Spanish Federation of Societies of Archivists, Librarians, Documentalists, and Museology, FESABIT, a position she held until September 2010. And she was the head of the Office of Assistance in Electronic Administration of the Diputación de Barcelona. Gloria was also, like Barbara, the vice president of EBLIDA, and also member of the management committee of TEL. And last but not least, Gloria was elected as Director General of the National Library of Spain. Gloria, it's an honor to have you also here, and now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. This is a pleasure, my dear colleagues. I know that this is a virtual meeting, but it makes me happy to see your faces and to say hello, hola, to all our colleagues that are from Greece, my well-appreciated Greek colleagues, and also all over the world, because I was seeing in the list of participants and I saw people also from Uruguay. So I'm so happy to say hola to them. I will share my presentation. I want really to talk with you about an issue that I think we have to fully consider, librarians, to make some policies and to promote and to advocate for getting the best of these problems that I'm going to share with you. I knew already that Barbara could be a good example of what was happening at the lockdowns of the libraries during these days in Germany, but also it happened in many countries. In Spain, it was a long lockout as well. But I wanted to show you a bit different scene of what, which way librarians will have really to fight against. So let me show you this presentation. I guess you can see it already. I guess it's on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, great. So, as I was telling you, I want to summarize a bit the points of my presentation. I'm going to start with seeing what is still our main problem, the problem of the library field during this pandemic and post-pandemic. the situation of Spain as well, but very briefly, because I'm not going to explain many things about the situation in Spain, just to do some notes. The challenges we have to face and looking for solutions, looking out for what we can do as librarians, and libraries' opportunity to take on. I think we can do many things. Of course, it's difficult to run libraries in these times, of course, more than ever, I guess. But we have really to fight and to work with a vision, looking for next steps. And I will give you also my personal conclusion remarks. So this terrible health and pandemic is health and economical crisis, of course, show us, all of us, how isolated we can be in our homes without any connection if we don't have internet. This is the main point. So I know that this is just the beginning of our problems, but this is a big problem for many people. So I want really to put on the table. And I would like to split my considerations addressed grosso modo, in two groups of needs. Regarding the general society, who need to get connected, to get meaningful access to information in order to cope with the usual lives, to develop themselves, to understand what happens in the world, to be connected. But this group of people are mainly citizens served by the public library services. And the other group, the second one, is regarding to that people that are experts and they are working in the library field or mainly in information services. This is an important group of people that they need connection, of course, and data, because they have to develop their own day-to-day work. I mean, researchers, information facilitators, data managers, research software engineers, infrastructure support professionals, educators as well, and data curators, data assistants, research librarians, and policy promoters, among others. But this is the general group I have identified. And in my view, both groups need urgently drive our libraries to work on digital skills. This is, for me, the main goal nowadays. So this gives me two important questions to share with you. Are the general population trained in getting into digital information to develop their normal life? Do you think so? And second, can experts and professionals get in the best of the information sources to develop their own careers, research, and creation of knowledge? I have really my doubts about this. So let's see a bit deeper. The situation in Spain in 2020, March to June, libraries, schools, and universities went lockout. They were absolutely closed. And it was during more than 90 days. No libraries, no bookshops as well. Everything was closed. And any information or cultural service was open. It was a terrible situation that made worse the situation of this deep health and economic crisis, because if you have something to do, you are feeling much better. If you are a teacher and you can provide your class through internet for your pupils, students, you will feel much better. But if you don't have a connection, probably you cannot do this work. So this is an important point. So after this pandemic, in Spain, we really started working in public policies as first step to start solving the lack of connection, because this is one of the main problems. If we don't have connection, we have nothing to do if we are at home. I mean, if the library is not open, we cannot do anything. So, although they are full of experiences for new services provided by librarians, even at their home, they were creative, and they started to think about the way to connect via the websites of the libraries, or as well with social networks. I mean, all kind of social networks, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know, others, that to do and to be in contact with patrons, with users, and try to do their best. But as I told you, the only way to be connected was via internet. Academic libraries provide access through their virtual libraries, so this was good. Unfortunately, the eBiblio, the electronic book platform of Spain, that is covers all the geography, that provides e-lending, via public libraries card users. You should be a member of the library, the public library, to get the electronic books. It was as well a great help. But apparently, public libraries users were covered by a biblio. But public libraries networks, the central offices, they realized very soon how important this library service, especially in this pandemic period, that people could not go to the library and take collections and borrow books and other materials. And started to register at this point citizens directly with their own ID card, just for free. It's always for free to get into this platform, but I mean without having as well previously the card of the public library. This was a beta solution. Nevertheless, this action was far away to have a universal solution, because unfortunately, the 18% of the Spanish homes, they don't have any channel of access to internet. I mean, any channel, even any smartphone to share data and to be connected, any. So we knew from several sources that homes without connection were and are still suffering digital divide. And this gives us an important matter of advocacy to tackle from the library field. Spain, as a major part of the world, does not have internet connection as a public universal system. Like electricity, gas, and water system networks, we have all of, especially in our countries, we have this, not for free, of course, we have to pay, but it's a really a public system that you can get, not very expensive. But we don't have internet connection as a universal network. And nowadays, I have to tell you that this is, in my point of view, one of the achievements we have really to conquer. So I have more questions again to ask to ourselves. How can libraries help as facilitators of connection out of their own walls? This is the first. And then, if the library is closed physically, how can provide universal access to information? That this is our mission. So it's a difficult point. And Barcelona libraries, during last year, they studied a way to serve connection borrowing smart devices, and they did. But to accomplish successfully this service, libraries should be open with the launch services on during several hours per day, and also in several points of the geography of Barcelona. So, of course, it was a solution, but it's not, as I told you, a universal solution. And in Europe, going to give some solutions for the recovery, the way to find out global solutions started really in July. They were 3-4 months absolutely out of order, because all of us, we were shocked in this pandemic lockdown. And then in July, the European Council met with extraordinary character to face the challenges of historic proportions posed by the COVID-19. And among other proposed measures, started a plan, a very important plan that I want to talk about. It was the Europe's digital transition, pointed out as one of the keys to recovery. And for this, among the large lines of funds approved, at least 2 were related to this transformation. And we can identify one related to the single market, innovation and digital economy, and another, the second one, of cohesion, resilience, and values. Both are really full of issues and as well of solutions regarding this point. Under these guidelines, the European guidelines, in October 2020, the government of Spain released the Recovery, Transformation and Resilience Plan. We say Spain can, España puede. And that states a framework to overcome the social and economic crisis caused by the COVID and enable inclusive development and sustainable for Spain during the current decade. It means Spain just is thinking in 1 decade to recover ourselves. Cannot be before, because there are a lot of damage, a lot of unemployment, a lot of small and medium companies locked down forever. It's really a very incredible crisis. So Spain can maintain the digital transformation as well as Europe is thinking, and achieve a digital Spain if it's combined with across all the 3 guidelines that we consider very important. Green Spain, Spain without gender gaps, and Spain cohesive and inclusive. So you will see here how close to the SDGs this plan is working. Is working with this framework of Agenda 2030 and with the SDGs. And this plan, España puede, is Spain can have digital skills as the main point, with 10 level policies for a structure from transformation. And if we speak specifically about this, we will see that we have to focus on education and knowledge, continuous training and capacity development of urban and rural agenda, and fight against the population, because our countryside is now getting in a real problem. Just less than 10 million of people are living in the countryside. I mean, the population is concentrated in big cities. And of course, the modernization of the public administration is very related to the e-government and what I was working in former time. So I'm very sensitive with this point, because I think that if people cannot go to do their own tramits by internet and understand what the administration is telling or giving them, they are not going to get the best. So the results are not going to be good. So again, Spain tried to focus really this plan to the people that really need. I mean, closing the gaps of society inequality due to the lack access to use of internet, because the digital gap of access and capacity to use networks are increasingly now, and they are a vector for a new cause of social exclusion, especially affecting to those most vulnerable groups, people, poor people. It's not nice to say poor people, but at the end, the poverty of information sometimes is very close to the poverty of money. So we have really to understand this, and we have to provide them access to information, because it's the only way they will have this access and they will understand better. So this plan, the objective, the main goal is to improve the basic digital skills of the citizens and closing these gaps. This is the main. So it's not going to be big things, but just to give them, to provide them some for skills, some training courses. And this is really an ambitious plan, because ambitious goal, because they want at the end of this decade to have 50 million people in basic skills. And so here we go, a great opportunity for libraries to work on this ambitious proposal and focus our work really in this way. And I'm not saying just providing physically the training courses, because sometimes it's not possible, but both combine a hybrid way, physically and of course online training courses for special groups of people. And of course, this kind of things are coming again to what I was telling you at the beginning of my identification of two groups of interest, of needs. One, of course, was the general society, but there's another that librarians we have really to consider deeply. And it's an opportunity to have our own strategy, libraries strategy, to consider digital skills based in the hypothesis that without data culture, there is not useful infrastructure. Can be also connections, but if without this culture of data culture and get the skill into digital, there's not going to be a successful development. So we have to consider the next generation of open science and data of professionals. And in my point of view, academic libraries should collaborate to improve digital skills for data and open science for all. I mean, also for their communities, for sure. Their communities means not only researchers, also professors and people that giving lectures, but as well afterwards when they are providing the works, the research, to be a meaningful information to all, that people can also use this information. This is a double goal in my point of view. And regarding this next generation on open science and data professionals, I really think that we have to focus in several points, but especially in software development for the new needs, because we are having new needs every single month. I mean, developing iPhones, smartphones, apps. I mean, these kind of things. Data understanding to be really very in basic level, but very talkative with people that can understand what you are telling them. Research production in each specific discipline. And of course, again, I'm telling you that the contribution that they can do, the academic libraries, to the general public to understand the meaningful that of their works, as I was telling you. And in my point of view, is going to be a bright data librarian working in collaboration in the future, because we need to use information services to unlock and preserve our information, to contribute to infrastructure's development, to validate information and invalidate, for example, fake news, say this is not true, this is not the right source, and of course to advise researchers and students and in the management of the information, because if not, they are really not taking advantage of what the existing datasets can provide them. So this is one point that I really think that academic libraries have to focus in, not in the future, already now. And it means that if in Europe we are organized at regional level, we really can, in a way, improve all skills and programs of training programs, because we can work in federate and secure long-lasting ecosystems, not just some projects that we are talking about, European projects, that they are just a product that when the project is out, the meaning of this project is out as well. And this is a pity, because we are spending a lot of money from Europe in such these projects. So I really think we have to see as a whole to create these federative ecosystems as act and learning nodes, and to get formats, specific formats. And I have an example that you can see by internet, that is here in Spain. The Consejo Superior de Investigaciones Científicas is the main body of research, scientific research. Together with the Polytechnic University of Valencia, they are creating communities of trainers. And this can be an example to share here in Spain, but also at the rest of Europe, regarding the way we can work together. So I'm focusing in this because I really think that these two groups, citizens in general and researchers, need librarians so much to improve their digital skills. And to conclude, I will tell you that libraries' future will depend on the capacity to understand and focus our work, the work to serve people's information needs. This is always on the table, but we are really doing, we have to ask ourselves if we are accomplishing what we are telling and we are talking about. It's going to be a great future for library services if libraries can maintain their capacity of action, joining a global vision, tackling global challenges, and working on the context that matters concerning humanity development. And this is always something that reminds me the International Advocacy Program that we learn in IFLA, the way that we understand the needs and then we act to achieve common goals. And advocacy in access to information is a key contribution to change policies on connection infrastructures at national level, aligned to global citizenship. I mean, a citizen that feels global because understands and has is skilled in digital world, and support of the creation of knowledge. So today more than ever, libraries have to build up the offer widely looking further to their collections of traditional services. Of course, we have to maintain, but we have to look further, and because our commitment to informational social needs is to provide these spaces of discussion to increase critical thinking of our citizens, and of course, going to be essential to contribute this development of themselves. So I'm working together close to the researchers to contribute to build up an open science and knowledge. Yeah, personally speaking, I really think that there is the only way that we will survive and get appreciated by society to our library work, but also us as professionals, librarians, is to answer social demands on access to information as a whole. So we have to take in account everyone in the library system, the library field. And thank you. I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for this presentation. I think it was very much focused on strategies, on policies, about the digital gap, and about how we can deal with this problem with COVID-19, designing in an upper level strategy, but in an upper level strategy that can affect in an effective way the everyday life of our users, regardless if they are researchers or if they are children or they are people who don't have these kind of digital skills. At this point, before going to Donna, I would like to say and to inform our participants that unfortunately our Greek speaker, the president of the Greek Librarians and Information Scientists, President Anthi Katsirikos, is in the hospital since yesterday with COVID-19. We sent our warmest wishes for quick recovery. Gloria, in a way, you took her time. So it was, let's say that it was a gift from Anthi. And there are several questions, but I think it's better to say just a few words about famous Donna Cedar and then give the floor to Donna. Well, Donna, what to say about Donna? Donna Cedar. Donna was Deputy Director of Information in the Research Services of the Library of Congress and Director of Services in the Library of Law of Congress, and participated in the Permanent Commission of Library and Research Services for Parliaments. She is a member of the Library of Congress Advisory Council. She has taken many, many awards, and she has served also as the President of IFLA just before Gloria, from 2015 till 2017. And I think in her presidency, it was turning the page also in IFLA, designing this very important initiative with a global vision. Also, I would like to say that Donna is included in the Hall of Fame of the Special Libraries Association for her work in library science and her contribution to SLA. I'm not going to say more. I give the floor to Donna right away. Donna, we're eager to listen to you.
Thank you very much, Tonya. And I am going to, where is my PowerPoint? Here it is. Share. All right, and let's, this thing is in my way here. Sign, draw. All right, we'll go this way. First of all, I want to say greetings from Washington, D.C. in the United States, and I want to thank the organizers of this webinar for bringing us all together. And as I've been listening to my colleagues, I realize that there are many more things that we have in common than we have that are different. This webinar comes at a great time. It's very fortuitous here because just this week, ALA has introduced their new report called State of America's Libraries Special COVID Report. And the current president, Julius Jefferson, said, libraries are first restorers. Libraries may not have been open in the traditional sense, but we were not closed. And I think that is really very true for us today. There are many, what I'm going to do, because we have so many things to talk about in terms of what libraries have done over the last year, I'm going to try to just give some very specific examples. But before I do, I want to make two general observations. The first, it's important to know that in the United States, each of the 50 states and the territories and the District of Columbia all have responsibility for making their own regulations about what would be closed, what can be open, when people have to wear masks, what the capacity of open places would be. So it varied here from state to state. The conditions varied for what libraries had to face. The second thing that I want to let you know is that I think the pandemic, and I agree with Gloria totally on this, the pandemic and the physical closing of libraries made it abundantly clear how much libraries are contributing to closing the digital gap and helping people have access to the internet when they don't have access at home. And this was true in both urban and rural areas in the United States. The digital divide became very clear when people lacked access to apply for unemployment benefits, to get more information about their health, to get to have their children in a place where they could do their homework or learn. So it really made it very clear that we had a digital divide in the United States that was serious. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So libraries responded like we always do in the context of what their community needed. And I believe that there are great differences between communities in the United States. I mean, there are our urban libraries, our rural areas, our indigenous peoples, the Native Americans, reservation libraries, all of these are different. And librarians did what they did best. A lot of the solutions that I'm going to tell you about are not sophisticated technology solutions at all, but really they're sort of repurposing old ideas. There's a saying, a song lyric that says everything old is new again. And I think the pandemic demonstrated that to us. I want to talk about school libraries first. So a school library is within a elementary or high school in the United States, and it serves mostly the students and a bit the teachers. But there's no students in school. The students are home. There's no teachers in school. The teachers are teaching from home. So how do libraries serve remote learners? So book delivery and bookmobiles, school librarians went mobile. And I want to tell you a little story about the Goochland County, Virginia Public Schools library area. Goochland is in a very remote part of the state of Virginia. And the public schools stopped in-person learning at the onset of COVID-19. And school libraries, formerly the librarian, these two ladies, were worried about the students, that they'd be left without access to books. And the public libraries had also closed, and the county's superintendent intermittent internet service also made getting people electronic books unworkable. So what did they do? And the librarians, these two librarians said to each other, would it be crazy if we packed our cars with books and drove them around? And the answer was no, that's what they did. And they started out by actually putting their books in cars and making visits to various areas where the students were to make sure that they could get resources and books from the school library. Another example that went a little further, there's a literacy specialist in Marietta, Georgia is another area in the United States that's fairly rural. And the school library had no bookmobile, but the husband of one of the librarians was very handy. They had a van. They refitted it. They turned it into a mobile library. They also got internet access in it so that when the mobile there was also an internet hotspot. And they started serving their students that way. And there was also a couple spaces inside where people could come in. So school libraries went mobile, and it was very, very effective, particularly in rural areas. Librarians shifted to providing resources for parents and teachers. As I'm sure happened in many of your countries, parents were trying to work from home. At the same time, the students were trying to learn from home. And one of the things that the librarians were able to do was to be the resource specialists on the technology platform that the school was using. So when parents didn't understand how to get their kids to sign in and how to access the classes and how to maybe have the screen shared and all of that, the librarians were the resource people for that area. Also, they did things like create virtual field trips. Field trips, of course, in the United States are a wonderful part of learning here, and there are many museums, national parks, historic sites, etc. So many librarians partnered with organizations, these organizations like the museums, the parks, the historic sites, to create virtual field trips, which then could be used. The students could go on this field trip from home. So these are just some very small examples of the kinds of things that school librarians thought up to do and enhance the learning of the students, help the teachers, and help the parents, even though they did not have a library space and there were no students actually in the schools. So let's talk a little bit about public libraries. And again, this is another case of where our libraries really stepped up. As Gloria said, internet connections were really difficult in the United States. There are many people who do not have direct access to the internet, and often they're the ones who need it the most to do things. So in many locales where there were library vans and mobile, they converted them to mobile hotspots, and they would drive them around to areas, a central gathering place in a rural area, maybe a church parking lot or a store parking lot or whatever, and people could come and attach to the internet there in their cars, or they had in the summertime they would be somewhere where people could come and sit outside under a comfortable tree, but do their work by attaching to the library's hotspot. They also extended online renewal. As we know, we often have many rules about returning books to the library, but it didn't really seem to be an issue when the books would have to be cleaned, and then hopefully somebody else would be wanting to borrow it. But so instead, they allowed people to renew their loans online. They also expanded online lending programs and added a lot of virtual programs, including virtual game nights, cooking demonstrations and classes. Here in my own Southeast Public Library, partnered with an organization that I worked with called the Hill Center, which has a large email following of its own. And so they did programs on accessing the library services from homes, which included not only how to get ebooks, et cetera, or order books and pick them up at the Dropbox spot, but also how to access movies and music online and a variety of other opportunities. So again, one of the things that really worked here was partnerships. Gloria covered academic libraries quite well, but I want to talk about one of the things that they were doing in order to help close the digital divide. The Santa Fe, New Mexico Community College played a vital role during the pandemic for students in communities that didn't have reliable internet access. They purchased and let out hundreds of laptops and dozens of portable Wi-Fi hotspots. They expanded Wi-Fi also allowed students to safely access the internet outside closed buildings from the parking lot or other outdoor spaces. The bookmobile, the classic vehicle for library outreach, reinvented itself as a conveyor of broadband to communities in need of internet access. They parked their bookmobiles outside schools, grocery stores, and community centers, while the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library deployed its bookmobiles as Wi-Fi hotspots to local mobile home parks and even a correctional facility. So again, libraries, one big theme in all of this is libraries go mobile. Academic libraries also had no students on their campus. So how were students going to be able to find out what resources the libraries had and how to incorporate the library resources into their learning? So libraries created videos which provided this kind of virtual orientation tours so that the students could find out what the library could do for them, even though they couldn't visit it there in person. So creativity and not necessarily high technology allowed libraries to get where people were, provide internet access where they needed it, provide resources where they needed it, and also to provide some fun things in terms of virtual programming when they needed to be connected together. And I think that's a really important part of the virtual programs. There were virtual book clubs, for example, and virtual discussion groups, because the libraries here understand, as Barbara said, their value as a third place, and that value is really bringing people together. There was a great deal of loneliness during the height of the pandemic, and by doing these virtual programs that allowed people to meet, they helped combat the loneliness that was happening as a result. I want to talk for a few minutes about the contribution of library associations. And of course, here in the United States, it's American Library Association, Special Library Association, Medical Library Association, all of our associations. And the first was advocacy and policy. So back last year, I would like to say our library associations played a central role for creating policy supporting libraries and library workers. There were two things that were very important. The first was the U.S. government put together a large COVID relief package back in 2020. And it includes something called the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a way that institutions could pay their workers and be reimbursed because they weren't bringing in any income, or they were working at there wasn't any money available. And in state and local governments here, because they thrive on a variety of taxes, and when people don't have any, the economy is bad, that money is not there to do things like pay and support the library. So we got library workers included in libraries in the Paycheck Protection Program. They were ensured that they were included in federal, state, and philanthropic recovery efforts for the COVID-19. And then in the first package, money went to the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is our national organization that supports libraries in every state and locality. $50 million went for broadband extension. And that helped finance some of the things I talked about, like buying equipment for people, outfitting these mobile broadband facilities. So So that advocacy and getting actual money to support this in 2020 was extremely helpful. And then recently there was another, so the 2020 bill included $50 million for the Institute of Museum and Library Services to help states and territories purchase internet accessible devices and provide technical support service for their communities. But also this year, libraries are getting $200 million in stimulus funds. Our new president and the new Congress passed us a COVID relief stimulus package earlier this year. And the libraries are getting these resources again.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. We all want to have 1.5 more hours, but we have just 5 minutes for this section to end.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry to ask you to sum up in order to just answer, to have even one question, because we have...
Tonya, I'll do it. Okay, so the other thing libraries did was collected guidelines, and that's their involvement was extremely important. And of course, the other thing was supporting library workers, and there's some things on this slide, and I hope you'll be able to see it. But what I want to just say is our last thing here is the library's open sign. And again, I think what I talked about is demonstrated, although we're reopening libraries now in the United States, they never really were closed because they continued to support the people that they serve in the best ways they could figure out how to do it. And it made me proud, again, to be a librarian here, where people just pitched in, helped each other, and figured out ways to do the things that they needed to do. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, and for my apology, because we really needed 3 hours instead of 1 hour, because we have so many people attending this webinar coming from 42 countries. And this is really, really amazing. And Donna, thank you so much. I really keep the word creativity, and that creativity means much more than millions of budgets. And I know that you know from finance, and also Barbara as the ex-treasurer, and Christine as ex-treasurer, and of course Gloria as and Donna as ex-treasurer, and also you have also, and also myself as the current IFLA treasurer. We know how important money is in dealing with this pandemic. Only before closing this incredible meeting, and thank you so much, ladies. It's an honor to work with all of you, and it's for me it's pure happiness. And I think it's something that we have to repeat in a later time because your experience is so valuable. And I would like to warmly thank all of you. I would like to warmly thank all our attendees. Hola, bonjour, good morning. Remind me, Barbara, how it is in German.
Guten Tag, guten Abend.
Of course, we thank Hara Prindezi and Eugenides Foundation and his president Leonidas from hosting us, and the amazing IT team. Problems always can come up in IT technology. And of course, my wonderful colleagues. And I want to tell the name of each one. Thank you, Vasilis. Thank you, Nicoletta. Thank you, Hara. Thank you, Ioanna. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Despina. Thank you, Stefania. Thank you, Magda. Thank you, Ioanna. Thank you, all of you, because we made it happen. And we are IFLA. We are IFLA because we are all part of the International Library Association field. We work together, we create synergies, we believe in libraries and their vital role to change people's life, especially in these very strange times that we all live fighting an invisible enemy like COVID-19. Thank you all so much. It's 7:30, so I have a message that we must finish this event. Thank you all so much. And I would like also to inform all our attendees that it will be in YouTube, and we would like also to add our current president Christine's presentation also to this. So all take care and think positive, and also create synergies in order to have a better life for libraries and a better life for our communities. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All the best. Thank you, Tanya, for arranging this and organizing this. Thank you so much, very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Listen to us.
Thank you, and take care. Be safe.
Yes, take
See
care,
you soon.
everybody. Yeah.